Autumn starts to encroach on our sublime village. We're continuing to grow and to prepare for the winter. Wait, the video is titled what? What could even happen? Oh god, I'm reading the script and that's not even the only disaster. Well, welcome back to Going Medieval. We just fought off our first huge raid and did really well. In this episode, we're going to be upgrading absolutely everything. Our defenses, gear, buildings, and key infrastructure will all see some major improvements, and absolutely nothing will go wrong. As we get into it, let me just gush over the verticality in this colony sim. I never really felt like RimWorld suffered for not having it, but now that I have it in this game, it's really difficult to imagine going back. It makes building defenses way more rewarding, and gives us these splendid views of our fully realized colonies. Mostly splendid anyways. If you want to see how we got to this point and why there's so many discarded clothes and gear outside of our entrance, make sure to check the playlist in the comments below to watch the entire series. The Twilight Raid might have kept our colonists up, but there's still plenty of work to be done the following morning. We're going to be expanding our farm, which will first involve moving our flax field. We're still going to leave the old one in for now to harvest it, but we're going to set it not to sow new plants. We're also going to make our defensive tower in the front a little bit larger. In the last fight, Dudok couldn't freely fire from it and had to pull back, and we don't want that to happen again. We're going to be adding a fourth spot so that he can get into the action, as well as a second row of flooring just to make sure everything's still symmetrical. It's still just too pleasing to the eye. Even if the varied building materials mean it's not that pretty just yet. Maybe raiders will think we're too poor to attack. As part of expanding our farm, we're going to be moving our waste pile here. We're also going to add an egress to our... well, there's not a compass in this game. I guess I'll just call this north. Wait, no, the sun definitely rises from there. This is east. Either way, our east entrance is going to be getting a door and a ramp so that we can more quickly move to the valuable resources here. Our new colonist, Walter, is an excellent botanist who will be put in charge of our ever-growing need to grow more crops. The bees we've started are happy to hear there'll be more flowers going on all around them. The one on the left here is already being prepared by Joanna, and it'll take her a few hours to do this. Once the skep is ready to go, it'll take days to actually make us some honey and beeswax. We're going to be making some more room over here, then extending the ground we can actually build on. I've got an idea for a building that I think will work really well here, and will also improve how some of our other buildings do. We're also going to be making more room by moving our tree farm out away from our buildings. I really underestimated how much room we need in our village and planted the trees way too close. The last of our meat from our previous hunting spree is about to go bad, but we smoked or cooked almost all of it. And speaking of going bad, I was told that my maze idea won't really work. They'll just break down the door when they get near it and attack through there if they get close. But I'm still going to keep one leg of the maze just as a memorial for my idea that never came to be. Wait, does the fact that they're attacking doors mean that they'll just break down the entrances on our south rear entrance or on the east instead of running around to our main door? Let's not think about it. It's looking like preparing 6 skeps will take about a third as long as it takes them to all be ready. That's a pretty hefty labor cost for Joanna, but I think it's going to be worth it. The labor cost in these clay bricks is also pretty heavy, but since we're attaching this new room to the previous bedroom, I think we're still going to use them just to have a sort of continuous structure. I thought about turning this area into some apartments that are all connected to each other, but as someone who lives in one, I just couldn't do it to them. I've got another idea anyways that I think will go great. We've unlocked some better armor. It isn't the plate gear we'll eventually want to clad our warriors in, but we're going to cancel the leather work orders and start making some iron mail armor and helmets instead. We'll eventually want to upgrade to steel, but these will do for now. Waynhild really wants to farm, which is weird because she should be crafting clay bricks and hauling stuff instead. She's largely going to end up doing unskilled labor for right now. Wait, she has 5 more saplings to go? Alright, we're manually taking her off this. Although she's still an excellent tailor who will be in charge of sewing most of the winter clothes we need to wear through the harsh season. It's early autumn, but it's already 48 degrees outside, so I can imagine it's going to be real chilly come wintertime. The newest building is coming along nicely. Now we just need to add a second floor onto it. First we'll add a wooden beam to support and then place the basis for it itself. I can't quite make the external size the same as on the first floor because the roof on the nearby bedroom gets in the way. I guess we'll see how it looks when the second floor is just a little bit more compact. A roof to top it all off. Let's try using plain wood for the first time. Dudok is normally our smith, but he's really busy with some of our other building projects. And Joanna is also a good smith. Plus, having her make her own armor just seems a little bit fitting. Like the leather gear though, this is going to take a long time to make. Our newest building is nearing completion. We mostly need to wait for the last clay bricks to get made, but this is going to be our library. We'll do and store most of our research here. That means I'll move the research tables over as soon as, well, once Jeffrey and Millicent are at a good pausing point. Our library is also going to need some bookshelves, so we'll move some of the unused ones from our bunk room over to it. Joanna worked all day on her helmet, but it's done. Ooh, good quality too. That 30% armor rating is massive. It's more than a full set of leather gear. This really has me wondering how well steel plate armor will do once we have it unlocked. Though getting there will take the final research table and steel production to start. That, in turn, requires mechanical components made at a smithery. But actually putting in the smithery requires a ton of room in my production building. That required me to make the library so that I could move the research tables over, and I've lost count, but I think this is 3.5 steps back for 4 steps forward. Either way, we're grubbing all the same. A new trader is here, but they aren't really selling anything that I actually want to buy. I think this might be a recurring theme going forward. We have access to almost everything, so it isn't hard to maintain and upkeep our own goods. And traders are just so expensive. In better news, the new building finally finishes, everything being put in, which means it's now officially marked as a library. The bedrooms we've already made gave a mood buff to people that slept inside them, but a library or specific production building like this instead gives a noticeable increase to the speed at which work done inside it is done. We'll go ahead and have Dudok move the other research table over. With those in place, we're ready to unlock steel. Steel is made in a furnace by cooking iron ingots with coal. We're going to have one furnace making iron nuggets into ingots, and another making those ingots into steel, while we race towards the highest tier of armor. Although if this is a race, we're definitely a hair more tortoise than hare. Part of this research endeavor involves putting in a forge to make mechanical components that we'll need for both the highest tiers of research bench, as well as some other materials within our actual colony itself. This thing is absolutely huge though. Even taking out the research table isn't enough. I think we'll go ahead and get rid of the wooden melee weapons table that we had there. I just don't see us going back to them again with iron weapons on the horizon. The forge will go in a corner there. It's a snug fit, but it works. It'll still take a while to actually make the bricks we need for it, but we need plenty of other books before we actually use the upgraded research table to begin with, so it's fine that it'll take a little bit. So, you know how I didn't want to make apartments for my colonists? Yeah, I'm turning the second story of our library into another bedroom. I had originally planned to use it for some other stuff, but it looks like everything's gonna fit in well, and that means that Jeffrey and Millicent are gonna be spending way too much of their lives trapped in this one small building. Oh well. The game has sensed our prowess, though that is an ominous end of the message. I wonder if that means raids are gonna get bigger or more frequent now. Maybe it's the fact that we've got honey. It looks like it takes each of these skeps about 4 days to finish. We need more animal products. We're gonna send Dudok and Waynhild out to hunt these deer right outside our doors. Dudok's nearby, but he's a bad enough archer that I'm gonna send him to stand right beside his target before he actually shoots. Hey, he hit. Waynhild's a good shot. Oh, come on. I felt a little bad for calling her out for doing a good job of being a tailor in the last episode, but now, I'm starting to think this cannibal might not be a good person. The worst part's the deer got away too. A+ work. Millicent is worried that our clothes are becoming tattered, and it's close enough to winter that I'll go ahead and start making them all some new winter outfits. No hats yet though. I want to make sure we have enough cloth for all the actual outfits themselves. As we get to work on those, it's time to work on our production room. Like the research facilities in the library, which got faster when we put in the right materials, we can unlock tool shelves to make this room officially a workshop and make everything produced inside go just a bit faster. The rain falls heavy, but it's not the only thing that would batter our buildings. A raid's arrived, and unlike the others before, there's no advanced warning this time. We'll make sure that Walter puts on Joanna's old armor, then draft everyone and get them to our defenses. The archers return to their tower before the previous raid's clothes have even fully degraded. But this is going to be a battlefield once again. Joanna and Walter take up their post. The attackers are, Dudok, get back to your post! I always script and write everything after recording, but I'm going to go ahead and let you hear my genuine reaction to this one. Dude, Dudok, what are you doing? Alright, Dudok is gonna run into position while the other archers start firing. Wait, Dudok, I set up on the tower! God, he's rebellious today. I was originally gonna leave him there, but the enemy archers will just destroy him if he's not in cover. He can stay at the back to help our melee fighters cut down what's in front of them. They weren't very staggered either, so some of them are getting through our archers and are actually managing to get into our choke. I think they're actually way more interested in attacking the door than our people, but that's probably for the best. Joanna's starting to take some hits, but her armor is doing a really good job of protecting her. Eventually though, we turn the tide. The funnel is working nicely, and our archers killed all of theirs without taking any hits. We won't even kill the last guy. He can run off and tell the rest of them what happened, while the rest of our colonists head off to heal and sleep up. It's the morning after the fight, and I'm feeling pretty good. Better armor is a long way off, but that's fine. We didn't really take any serious damage, and we easily handled even that larger raid. Wayne Hill didn't get enough though. She's still after blood, and Dudok isn't there so that she can spill his. Instead, she takes down her prey and starts hauling it back to the village. It'll be a rough trip though, thanks in no small part to the absolute litany of corpses and gear littering the ground. We want to start cleaning that up, which means room for bodies to be stored and burned off. I think we might eventually need a second pyre, but I think the highest priority is getting this one going full time for now. We're also going to start sorting through the goods that they brought us here, looking for good equipment to borrow or just to smelt down. The forge we spent so long on is done, which means that we can start making mechanical components. These are required for unlocking the highest tier research table, as well as some higher tier weapons and armor. We're going to need a place to store these eventual masterpieces and the cheap stuff that we're harvesting in droves while we defend ourselves. I really think something like this should be close to the entrance, so we'll add some more ground to our sort of peninsula. We'll also then add a brick to our wall to make sure there's not any holes in it. Then we'll go ahead and put in the new building. I think I'll be building this new building from wood for the most part. We've got plenty of it, it's renewable, and it'll look good here. And I mean, it's near the pyre and the entrance, but so what? What's the worst that happens? A storage closet doesn't really need a window, but we'll add one anyways, just to flex on the world. And we'll add a proper stockpile for armor and some weapon racks to finish it off. It looks like we're gonna have to rush that brick wall though. Despite the attack yesterday, we've got an offer for another new colonist and the raid that sometimes come with them. It seems like this raid will only be composed of melee fighters and no archers, which is really good for us. 2 attacks in 3 days might be the start of a worrying trend though. But they are hardy, which means I think they'll be tougher. It doesn't actually give a number for hit points. Skill-wise, they're a good doctor and good with animals. That means less responsibilities for Joanna, but that's about it. This colonist will mostly be hauling, tidying, and making bricks. Speaking of Joanna, she took some hits in the last fight. She's fine, but her armor isn't. That sturdy iron armor she made is in pretty poor shape and lost over half of its actual production, from about 30% down to about 12%. Her helmet seems to be fine though. I'm not sure we're actually going to have time to make a new one from scratch, and I don't think there's a way to actually repair it, so she might just be going into battle with that damaged armor. The door is also in pretty shoddy shape. The enemies attacked it last raid, and I'm thinking that I should unlock defensive structures and put a reinforced door in. We'll go ahead and butcher the animals we hunted down. Their meat can be cooked, smoked, and stored away, while the leather gets turned into winter clothes. We're not going to have time to turn it into armor for now. Instead, we're just going to clothe our new colonist in some of the damaged stuff we've gotten from raids, slap a bow in her hands despite the fact that she's not a good marksman, and hope for the best. In better news, the library looks really good. I think the wooden roof stands out nicely against the wicker roof beside it, and while I'm not a huge fan of how the extended wall on the first floor looks, it's overall a good addition. Our food cellar also looks good. It's well stocked, although it will need some more flooring to avoid decomposition. We just barely finish in time before the raiders arrive. They still don't have archers, so I think we're going to be fine. Some of our settlers want to run off to do their jobs, but they're not going to get the chance. We'll draft everyone up and start getting them into position. There we go, everyone's ready. Wait, why are there only 3 archers? Damn it, Dudok, not again! Come here, okay. He'll still arrive as the first enemies do. One of them runs ahead and gets shot down pretty quickly, nice, okay. Without any archers to pick off, I'm gonna mostly leave my guys to shoot as they please. More enemies start flooding forward though, and... Where's Dudok? What the... I told him to get forward! Okay, wait, run the tape back, run the tape back. See? God, this guy. The rest of them start flooding in, and wow, there's a lot of them. More and more of their heavily armored guys are making it to our choke and starting to funnel in. Ow. One hit took off almost half of Walter's health. I'm pausing to try and micromanage this fight a bit better, but things are going really badly. They're starting to really flood our gates, they're all in the entrance now. I'm pulling archers back to give them some cover to try and help Walter out. Joanna, as well as the archers, can switch their attention to his assailant, but even then he's so low that I'm going to have to pull him back. One more big hit could definitely put him out of his misery. Joanna's doing well, but that looks likely to change. She's getting surrounded by the second, and just like that, she's already taken down to half health. This might be where we finally lose someone. I pull her back and our archers unleash hell. It's enough to mark it as a victory, but it's barely won. Either one of our melee fighters could easily have gone down. At least they had some good stuff though. Fine silver armor, steel weapons. Hey, go get healed up you two. Steel weapons. More than anything, they leave us with the sense that we're not yet prepared enough. We need high quality armor, and we can't afford to wait for the perfect set. Another raid could come tomorrow, and our colonists are already pretty injured. I also want better ranged weapons. Crossbows might have a little bit lower DPS overall, but they've got bigger range, and they have more armor penetration, which means that they'll make quick work of the impressive armors we're starting to see on our foes. This is all going to require a ton of research, but we're really good at that. Before we can get that far though, we're still being gated by our need for mechanical components. Because of that, I'm going to go ahead and spend some of our excess blue books on brewing. The rest of the day passes with steady progress all around. The morning after the raid, we're already doing a bit of work on our entrance. I think that Joanna and Walter had to sort of run away from our entrance to retreat, and that's something I don't want to have happen. They were also really easy to surround. Because of that, I'm going to solve both these issues by building a fallback point inside. Inside, Dudok's going to make the brewery. He's also going to insist that the wood there to actually make it is in the way somehow. We'll just move it to the corner, that'll solve it. He's not going to have to go far for wood either. And with the power of editing, the brewery's done instantaneously. Joanna will get some ale fermenting. And pause. Did you notice it? Don't worry if you didn't. I didn't catch it until I was specifically looking for it in editing. A blight hits the crops, but that's not that bad. The approaching winter means that we were already winding our farms down. Still, we're gonna have our villagers cull all of the disease crops. Well, almost all of them. We missed one overnight and it killed the rest of our flax, but that's honestly fine. We'll just store some of our flax seeds to sow in the spring and be fine. Joanna is almost finished with her newest piece of armor. It's some good steel mail armor. It looks like steel doesn't actually increase the armor rating, but it does drastically improve the hit points on the armor itself. About double over what the iron piece had. That means that I hopefully won't have to make a new piece of armor every time she takes a blow to the chest. We're almost done making the 5 mechanical components we'll need to make the advanced research table, so we'll unlock it and go ahead and place it in our library. It also fits super nicely. I wish I could say I planned this, but I just got sort of lucky. I'd planned to move the basic research table upstairs if I needed to. Either way though, we're breaking down the metal gear that our invaders gifted us. We don't have much use for it though, and we honestly don't get that much. A half-quality iron hatchet only gave us 3 ingots. I think we're going to have to up our mining game and make the ingots ourselves if we really want the gear we need en masse. Millicent is in a bad mood for a few reasons. We're starting to need better things to keep our colonists happy. Booze will help soon. She's complaining about her clothes being tattered, so we'll make sure that everyone's wearing their winter fits. It's already freezing out, even though it's still a couple days till winter. The new research bench is in, but I didn't realize it takes an intellectual skill of 25 to use. Neither of our skilled researchers can actually use it just yet, but they're only a couple days off from producing our first textbooks. And speaking of lacking skill, I'd planned to make some mead from the honey we have, but that requires a culinary skill of 15. None of our villagers can manage that just yet, so it's back to ale for now. We can, however, mine some more iron as hail starts to fall again. We'll go ahead and get our furnaces working on turning that into steel, since we're pretty close to plate armor now. All of this is going to require more coal, so we'll make sure to get that mined as well. And with that, winter arrives on our quaint village. Snow starts to fall. An hour in and snow is already built up all over the roofs. The pine even looks ready to be a Christmas tree. So I was starting to prepare some shots to sort of close this out, get some of the panoramas, and one thing I did was zoom in on our cellar to capture all the food we have stored. Instead, I found rot. The culprit was right there, all along. Our lovely, cold cellar had a brewery I didn't realize was spitting out heat and making it all a nice and toasty 70 degrees. Perfect for rotting food. All of our uncooked food is gone, and even our cooked meals aren't doing great. This is gonna be a rough winter. Oh, and unless you're just listening to this, you probably noticed the face cam in this episode. Or you thought the game just had a really strange graphical update? It's the face cam. What do you think? Does it add to the video? Does it detract from it? I'm really interested in seeing what comments y'all have for me.